Today I'm talking about something that shaped not just fantasy literature, but an entire generation of readers, the Dungeons & Dragons novels. If you're a D&D player who's never picked these up, you might be missing out on one of the greatest resources for your game. Hi everyone, I'm Razu and this is Razu Tales. On this channel I make videos about books, writing, and do deep dives into horror and fantasy. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you appreciate the video, consider hitting the like and subscribe button to join our community of book lovers. Now, let's get started. You know that feeling when you're in the middle of an amazing D&D session and everything just clicks, the story feels real, the characters come alive, and you can practically see the world unfolding in your mind. That's what these books did for an entire generation of fantasy readers. They weren't just tie-in novels, they were portals to worlds that felt as real as our own. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, aren't these just cheap fantasy books based on a game? That's what I thought too until I picked up my first Forgotten Realms novel. I was 12. It was R.A. Salvatore's Homeland, and it changed everything I thought I knew about fantasy. Let's talk about Drizzt D'Urden. If you played D&D, you probably heard jokes about all the Drow Rangers inspired by him. But here's the thing, there's a reason Drizzt inspired so many characters. Salvatore didn't just create a cool dark elf with cool swords. He created a character who challenged everything about his society, who questioned his place in the world, who showed that your background doesn't have to define your destiny. Sound familiar, D&D players? Then there's Ed Greenwood's Elminster series. Now, if you've ever DM'd a game, you know the challenge of creating a world that feels ancient and lived in. Greenwood didn't just create powerful characters, he created a template for how magic could work in a living, breathing world. The way Elminster interacts with magic, the consequences of his choices, the price of power, these books are basically a masterclass in how to create compelling, high-level NPCs for your games. But what made these books truly special wasn't just the characters or the magic. It was how they expanded the game's universe. They showed us what it was like to walk the streets of Waterdeep, to explore the Underdark, to sail the sea of fallen stars. They turned game settings into living, breathing worlds. Think about how shows like Critical Role captures our imagination today. These novels did that for us before streaming existed. They showed us how to tell stories in the D&D universe, how to make characters that felt real, how to weave game mechanics into narrative without breaking immersion. Take Azure by Kate Novak and Jeff Grubb. It's not just a story about a mysterious magical tattoo, it's a masterclass in how to create compelling magical items with deep lore. Or Pool of Radiance by James Ward and Jane Cooper Hong, which showed how to turn a dungeon crawl into a compelling narrative. These books did something incredible. They taught us how to think about fantasy worlds in new ways. When you read about how Drizzt navigated the politics of Menzoberranzan, you learned how to create complex societies in your own games. When you read about Elminster's apprenticeship, you gained insight into how magic could shape a world. And here's what's really fascinating. These books are still relevant today. In fact, I'd argue they are more valuable than ever in an age of pre-written campaigns and online guides. These novels show us how to make D&D worlds feel personal and alive. For dungeon masters, these books are treasure troves of ideas for creating complex NPCs with believable motivations, designing cities and dungeons that feel lived in, weaving personal stories into epic adventures, making magic feel mysterious and wonderful again. For players, they offer inspiration for character backgrounds and motivations, understanding of different D&D cultures and societies, ideas for how to roleplay different classes and races, examples of character growth and development. Now, I'm not saying these books are perfect. Some of them show their age, and yes, some of the writing can be a bit pulpy, but that's part of their charm. They remind us that D&D isn't about being perfect. It's about telling stories that matter to us and to our friends. If you're curious about where to start, I'd recommend R.A. Salvatore's Homeland. It's the first book in the Dark Elf trilogy, and it's a perfect introduction to how these novels can enhance your D&D experience. Or, if you prefer something more arcane, start with Elminster, The Making of a Mage by Ed Greenwood. Ed Greenwood has a YouTube channel, by the way. I'll put a link to that in the description below. It is absolutely brilliant, and everyone who plays D&D should watch it. These books didn't just entertain us, they showed us how to be better storytellers, better world builders, and ultimately better D&D players. They proved that the stories we tell around the gaming table can be just as compelling as any other form of literature. Have you read any D&D novels? Did they influence how you play the game? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're a D&D player who's never tried these books, maybe it's time to roll for initiative and give them a chance. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content about books, gaming, and storytelling. And remember, every great campaign starts with a single page. See you in the next chapter.